Hey, Cullen Crab here. Hey guys. So part one, training in your teens. Okay. Um, when I was a teenager, this was back in the 90s, early 90s, I guess, graduated in 95. We weren't really internet people. Everything we learned was from magazines for the most part. And we really didn't have access to knowledge like people do nowadays. But with that being said, I almost think it's a double-edged sword because there's so much information out there on the internet that, everything contradicts everything else. I mean, it's just, it's crazy what's out there. So I want to share my experiences, what I've learned along the way, the mistakes I've made. And this is specifically with me in my teenage years. Now, as a teenager, we basically trained chest every day. I mean, I think Brian Johnson and I went to the gym and we're like, hey, what are we going to train? Well, let's train chest, right? Oh, let's train chest. Or, we started training really heavy shrugs because we thought it was cool because we could put 4 plates on the straight bar and kind of move it a little bit, right? So we really didn't train, or focus on developing the whole body. And with that being said, I had decent upper body development, poor leg development. I have poor leg genetics anyway. So, I didn't really get off to a good start. And then the other big component with training in your teens is, you know, I mean, look, everything's going to come back to thinking about longevity, which you're never going to think as a teenager. Also about, hey, diet, what are you putting into your body? Okay. And then the other thing is supplementation, right? What type of supplements are you taking? There's all kinds of stuff out there in the market today. And if you're in your teens, my recommendation to you is to really focus on just a healthy diet. Okay. I mean, that's the key. I wouldn't recommend, experimenting with all these crazy supplements and stuff that's out there on the market. Stay away from that stuff. Utilize your body's natural hormones, natural testosterone levels, maximize that to the best of your ability. And here's the thing, get in there, get a decent program together, right? Where you're training every muscle group once or twice a week, potentially, right? Some of the smaller muscle groups, you can train more than once a week. When you're young, you recover so much quicker. And then, you're going to want to focus on repetition ranges. I still recommend, I would say, you always want to warm up, higher reps, stretch out the muscle, think longevity. Yes, you're going to have to hit your maxes along the way. Of course, if you're training for football or any other sports, you're going to see those maxes. Make sure that you're warming up really well before you're maxing out. Now, on the various lifts that you have to do, right, for football and everything else, you got to do your deadlifts or however they're testing you, your bench press, this and that, so on and so forth. I recommend train and practice those lifts, but also incorporate, bodybuilding techniques as well. Because if you can focus on the smaller muscle groups, bring up the smaller muscle groups when you're younger by isolating those muscle groups, when you do your full compounded movements, okay, you're going to get better results. So, whole body, you got to train the legs, you got to train the back, you got to train the arms, you got to train the shoulders, you got to train the chest, okay? All these things are important when you're a teenager. I think about, training as a teen, and I wish I could have coached myself when I was a teenager. I would have got a lot further and a lot faster. I'm going to make these things quick, short, sort of just an overview. I'm going to move through the years, teenage years, 20s, 30s, and 40s. I look forward to talking with you guys soon. Thank you very much.